Okay, so it's time for us to jump back into our coverage over the X-Men. And with that being said, we're going to pick up with some more X Factor comics. Now, we're going to cover issue number 103, 104, and issue number 105. Now, this is a three-part story arc where we are going to see the return of Malice, but also we might actually see her death as well. Yeah, you heard that right. We're going to see the end of Malice in his three-part story arc. Now, just in case you are new to Marvel Comics, you don't know who that character is, don't worry. Later on in this video, I am going to explain who that character is, but as we dive into the opening pages for issue number 103 of X Factor, we pick up with Strong Guy, Wolfbane, and also Random. Now, I want to focus more on Random here. Here's the reason why. Because for Random, he's not technically part of X Factor, but kind of is. Because for Random, he is a mercenary. If you have the money, then most likely he'll do the job for you. But for Random, he has been the last few story arcs when it came to X Factor comics that we had covered. But in reality, he's still not really part of the team. Now, for Random, he was on his way up north to a different location, but he decided to go ahead and give a ride to Strong Guy and Wolfbane over to New York. It was on his way. And of course, we see that Strong Guy wanted to pay a visit to his uncle and aunt. But before we were able to kind of sit down and talk about more about Strong Guy and his family, we jump over to Havoc. Now, in our last couple of videos, we have saw a lot of things happen to X Factor. Like, for example, the death of Jamie Madrox, of course, better known as the Multiple Man. Now, he died at the end of X Factor issue number 100, thanks to the Legacy virus, but also thanks to another character known as Haven. You see, Haven was this character who believed that 700 years down the road, there's going to be this huge event where you're going to have all these different events happening all over the world that would kill off at least 3/4 of the Earth population, but it would open the way up for a new kind of humans to step up to lead the Earth in a better direction. When it came to Haven, her main goal was to kind of bring those events into the present day because she hated the idea of waiting. Now, we also learned that she had the ability to heal other people because she did heal up Wolfbane, who was going through a lot, but she also offered to heal up Jamie as well because, again, he had the legacy virus. But she told Havoc, you need to choose for what me to do here. Do you want me to go ahead and use my powers as a way to heal him or to just let him die? And so, of course, you had Havoc say, go ahead and use your powers. But unfortunately, her powers did not work and Jamie still died. And so for Havoc, he kind of feels like he's at fault, even though technically for Jamie, he died by the hands of the legacy virus. But either way, for Havoc, he left X Factor and he went over to Hawaii as a way to get away. But while out there, he's then confronted by Polaris, his girlfriend, because he didn't really tell her where he was going. It was more of like, hey, listen, I'm leaving. I need to get away. But for Polaris, she knows that he needs her in his corner to kind of help him overcome what he is going through at the moment. But getting back over to Strong Guy and also Wolfbane, we do get reminded here that for Strong Guy, he had his aunt and uncle be the ones to raise him because let's not forget, for Strong Guy, his parents were killed off when a satellite had fell out of the sky and, well, crushed him. Now, he did receive a lot of money, but of course, he still needs somebody to watch over him. And that was his uncle and his aunt. And really, they were kind of like his mother and father to him. They have a very tight bond with one another. We also see he was kind of like a big brother for his smaller cousin Anthony. And so we're seeing a happy family. And honestly, if you saw my origin story for Strong Guy, you would know like the dude went through a lot. So to see this at this moment is a really great thing to see. Now for Wolfbane, she's also enjoying everything she's seeing when it comes to Strong Guy and his family. And really, they were really quick to accept her into their household and be all like, hey, if you're with him, you're also family to us as well. Now, with this book being a government X team, of course, we're going to have some government issues. So we're going to jump over to Val Cooper. Now, Val Cooper, she was the previous liaison for X Factor before you had Forge take over that role for her. Now, for Val Cooper, she's being confronted by a committee of people who want to know what happened with X Factor when they fought against Haven. But they also want to know about what happened with Jamie Maddox because somebody died on that mission. Now, for Val, she has to tell them a lie because she's afraid of the idea of telling the government the truth about a virus being out there that can kill mutants. You see, for the American government, all they know right now is that there is a virus out there, but it's only in Genosha. They believe it's only there, and that's really it. They have no idea there are other cases popping up across the world where you have mutants now being affected by this virus, the legacy virus. And so for them, they're kind of like, hey, what happened to him? Because we heard he died by a virus. And you have Val saying, that's not true. Really, he died by the hands of Haven. It's her making sure they cannot use the virus in some kind of way to attack the mutant race. But now we jump over to Polaris and also Havoc. And this continues the whole idea of Polaris just trying to, get Havoc back on the team, but to also kind of show him like, dude, you are completely innocent here. Like, yes, he did die under your watch, but you chose that choice to hope to save his life. But in reality, for Jamie, the dude still died by the hands of the legacy virus. But also for Jamie, he would hate the idea of seeing you like this. He would love the idea of seeing you be able to rebound after his loss, but still being that great leader for the X Factor team, what they need at the moment. And so as you see Polaris slowly being able to bring Havoc back to the side of being the leader of X Factor, we also see that somebody is watching them. Now, this person will be very important for the later chapters of the storyline. Now, I kind of want to jump back over to Strong Guy because we begin to learn more about his origin story. And that's why I say I love the early 1990 comics because honestly, for Strong Guy, he's been around for a good while in Marvel Comics since 1980s, but it was the 90s that really begun the process of laying out the origin of Strong Guy. And the reason why I'm saying that because when we jump back over to him, we see that Strong Guy is somewhat of a celebrity in his city. Like everyone know who he is, and honestly, they love him. Now, his cousin Anthony, he does love Strong Guy a lot, but the problem is Anthony is worried about his future. Here's the reason why. Because his father has Parkinson's disease, but also he's a cousin of a mutant. And so he's kind of wondering of the possibility if he could receive a mutant power or the possibility of receiving his father's disease. But also is him realizing that there are still some people out there who hate mutants. He has friends right now whose fathers say, you are not allowed to go to town to see that freak mutant show. And so for Anthony here, he's kind of wondering of his future. But while doing that, we do see Strong Guy run into somebody he used to love very much. And that would be Mary. But I want to jump back over to Havoc and also Polaris. And here's the reason why. Because while you have the two characters in Hawaii being able to rebuild their relationship, but also seeing Havoc being able to begin to believe in himself once again, you did kind of find out they're being watched by a character known as Patrice Connors. Now, we met her at the end of our last video, and we had learned that for Patrice Connors, she was the head person in charge of a government branch known as the department. Now, their main goal was to make up different plans to protect America from Magneto. One of those plans was, well, of course, Polaris. But here comes the big catch. At the end of our last video, we had learned that she was possibly being controlled by a character known as Malice. You see, Malice is this character who has the ability to take over your body. She's kind of like just this psionic energy that's able to go into your body to control your body to do whatever she wants to do. Now, we have not seen her in a very long time. The last time we saw her, she was controlling the body of Polaris. Now, after a while, you did have Polaris and other people being able to find a way to get rid of her. And she has been gone for a good while. But this is her slowly coming back into the picture because apparently she had been using the body of Patrice as a way to get close to Polaris. And so while you have the two characters, Polaris and Havoc, and Hawaii just minding their business, Havoc goes outside and he's then confronted by Patrice Connors, where you didn't have Malice leave the body of Connors to go ahead and take over the body of Havoc. And so when you have Polaris go outside to check up on Havoc, well, she's confronted by Havoc, who's now being controlled by Malice. But as we dive into the second chapter of this storyline, it's really more of Malice telling Polaris while using the body of Havoc that she feels like that is Sinister once again trying to control her. Let me explain. You see, the last time for Malice, when she was in control of the body of Polaris, she was tricked by Mr. Sinister to take over the body of Polaris. Now, after she had did that, she was trapped inside the body of Polaris until she was able to find a way out. Now, with all that being said, she tried her best to stay away from Mr. Sinister, but she feels like he's pulling her back into his control once again, and he wants to use her once again to take over the body of Polaris. But she has no idea why he wants Polaris so badly. But her goal is to use Havoc to kill off Polaris to ruin the plans of Mr. Sinister, but to also get revenge against her by having Havoc, her loved one, be the one to kill her off. But now I want to jump back over to Strong Guy and Mary. Now, this is a sad moment because, again, for Strong Guy, his origin is pretty sad. Now, when it came to Strong Guy, when he had discovered his mutant ability, he was in the hospital for a good amount of time. Now, after a while, he did meet a young lady, a nurse, and that would be Mary. Now, back then, Mary, she was shy, but the thing was, so was he. And so they were able to build that bond with one another. Now, of course, you had the two characters go their separate ways. And so for Strong Guy, seeing her again, he kind of believes that this is his second chance to be with her. And matter of fact, you have Mary tell Strong Guy that her marriage is not working out. But she's also telling him, like, there is no chance of you and I getting back together. And the reason why she is saying that to him, because after he had left, she realized that she was no longer that shy girl. She became very popular and being able to date other men who were not like Strong Guy, who were not a mutant freak. And so even though she's going through a lot at the moment, she's kind of like, hey, listen, I want to tell you, like, there's still no chance for you and I to get back together because technically I'm still me and I have the ability to find other men who might like me. But as we transition back over to the battle between Polaris and also Havoc, or really Polaris versus Malice, you have Malice believing that with the powers of Havoc, Polaris should be an easy target, that most likely she'll try to hold back. And technically she does, but at the same time, it's Polaris trying to use her skills as a defensive person at the moment to be able to hold Havoc off long enough so that she'll then be able to call backup. So you have Polaris being able to trap Havoc inside this metal ball to hopefully give her enough time to call up the rest of the members of X Factor to figure out how in the world can they help out Havoc. Because with Malice now having control over Havoc's mind and body, it's really hard to break him free from her control. Now, I want to focus on Wolfbane. Now, I know you guys are probably like, who cares fresh about Anthony, the cousin of Strong Guy? But for me personally, it was kind of cool to see her be this great person in someone's corner because for Anthony, it's the whole idea of him scared of the possible future he can have as a mutant or somebody with MD. And so you kind of have her being able to say, like, listen, either way, you want to surround yourself around people who are going to be there for you, who are going to like you for the way you are, not because the way you look. Like, yes, you may become a mutant, and there is a possibility that you might not come out as a normal mutant. But again, you want to surround yourself around people who are going to like you for the way you are, not the way you look. And also, it's her saying, like, I'll be one of those friends in your corner. After being able to help out Anthony, she now has to shift her focus over to Strong Guy because Strong Guy runs into the house of his aunt and uncle just very angry. And the reason why, because again, he is a celebrity in his town. So you have all these people want to ask him so many different questions, but also he's upset about the idea that him and Mary cannot work out. And he tells Wolfbane, like, hey, she told me there is no chance that you know what, that her and I could possibly get together. And so the man is just so heartbroken. But as we jump back over to Polaris, you have Polaris run into Patrice Connors, the person that Malice used as a way to get close to Polaris to hopefully attack her one day. And so you have Polaris realize that Malice has been using Patrice for months on months. And so for Polaris, she realized that Malice has been planning this for a very long time. Now you do have Polaris try to call up X Factor. Unfortunately, nobody answers, and she tries her best to leave a message behind. But the problem is you have Malice, who's still in control of Havoc's body, being able to break free from Polaris' trap and begin to just beat down on her. But then she's able to make Patrice be her hostage and give Polaris a choice. If you go ahead and surrender, I'll make sure Patrice does not die by the hands of your lover, the hands of Havoc. Luckily for Polaris, Val Cooper was back at the base of X Factor, so she heard the voicemail that was left behind by Polaris. But the problem is everyone's doing different things across different areas around the world. And so you have Val Cooper call up Quicksilver. He's all like, hey, listen, ever since I left the team, I have rejoined the Avengers and we are technically busy. And so you have Val go out of her way to go to New York, pick up Strong Guy and Wolfbane, say, hey, we gotta go to Hawaii. Havoc and Polaris, they're in trouble and we gotta go now. And honestly, Val Cooper is right. Well, halfway right, because Polaris is the one's in trouble. Because once you have her agree to surrender, to hopefully save the life of Patrice, you have Malice just go ahead and use the powers of Havoc over and over again on Polaris. Like, she's getting one heck of a beatdown. And it does look like right here and now, we're gonna see the death of Polaris. But then, at the very last second, you have Mr. Sinister appear. And he's all like, hey, I need you right now to stop what you're doing. You are not going to kill her off at all, Malice. But as we get into the final chapter for today's storyline, we jump back over to the home of X Factor. Now, when we do, we see somebody being able to walk into the home of X Factor, but realize that nobody is there. But as we jump back over to Hawaii, we do pick up with Mr. Sinister now using the Nasty Boys as a way to fight against Malice, who is still in control of Havoc. Now, the Nasty Boys, we don't really need a whole breakdown of who they are. Just know that they're a group of characters who work for Mr. Sinister, just like the Marauders did back in the Mutant Massacre. Now, for Mr. Sinister, he tells his boys, listen, you may attack Havoc and beat him up, but you cannot kill him at all because I need that one alive as well. Because as we all know, when it comes to Mr. Sinister, this dude always has plans for days. And so, of course, he has plans for Polaris and plans for Havoc as well. But his goal is kind of get Malice out of the body of Alex so that he is able to use Alex down the road for later projects. While everything was going on, you have Strong Guy and Wolfbane appear. Now, when they appear, all they see at the moment is that Polaris needs to be saved by Mr. Sinister. They have no idea that he's technically there to help her. And so you have Strong Guy try to attack Sinister. Now, I feel so bad for the dude because he really tried his best to help out Polaris, but he does get backhanded by Sinister like it's no big deal. I'm all like, dang, man, you almost had a chance to save her, and unfortunately, you got backhanded by Sinister like it's nothing. But you also had Sinister tell Strong Guy and Wolfbane, hey, you might want to go help out Havoc. Now, they have no idea that Havoc is currently being controlled by Malice. All they see at the moment that Havoc is currently being attacked by the different members of the Nasty Boys. Now, as their battle goes on, you have the Nasty Boys try their best to tell Strong Guy and Wolfbane that they're on the same side, that in reality Havoc is being controlled. But for Strong Guy, he cannot believe that until you have Polaris being able to wake back up and confirm what the Nasty Boys are saying is true. But right after you have Polaris being able to confirm what's going on with Havoc, you have Polaris realize that she cannot allow herself to see Alex being used like this by Malice. And so you have her begin to beat down on Havoc with her powers. Now, as the battle goes on, it does kind of seem like Polaris had came to the conclusion that she might have to go ahead and kill off Alex Summers to basically save him from being controlled by Malice. But you didn't have Sinister being able to stop Malice, but also tell Malice that, yeah, you know what? Polaris is right. Get out of the body of Alex Summers and go over to, well, the body of Polaris again. Reunite with her. But before we're able to learn more about that, we jump back over to the base of X Factor. And we do learn that there's somebody still there, and he's going through the different items that are owned by, well, by one person, Jamie Maddox. Now, I kind of want to go ahead and jump back over to Mr. Sinister. And the reason why, because I want to go ahead and wrap up today's storyline. Because you do have Sinister tell them, like, listen, Malice, you ticked me off when you went against my will to go ahead and tag Polaris without my permission. But now I'm telling you, if you are able to take over her body once again, everything will be forgiven. Now, for Polaris, she's down with the idea of allowing Malice to take back over her body. And the reason why? Because then Havoc will be free. But she knows once Malice has her control over her, she will no longer have control over her body ever again. It'll be Malice control over her body. But no matter what, she wants to help out Havoc. But here comes the thing. You see, for Havoc and also Polaris, they're both kind of struggling to kind of be the one to take in Malice. And that is the major problem right there. Because for Havoc, he wants to protect Polaris and vice versa. And so with them trying to protect each other, Malice kind of stuck in the middle as just psionic energy. And so with her being stuck in the middle, it allows Sinister to grab her and basically kill her off. Like he destroy her psionic energy body. And so there goes Malice, but also Polaris and Havoc are both free from her control. Now Havoc, he knows for Mr. Sinister to do that, he has something else planned down the road. There's no way he's just helping out to be a good person, but for right now, it does seem like that, and he leaves. But to go ahead and close on today's video, we do jump back over to, well, the base of X Factor. And we do pick up with, well, this random guy still walking around the home of X Factor. But then he looks at a picture of the entire team. And he looks at each member of the team. But then he realizes there's one member of the team that's kind of throwing him off. And that would be Jamie Maddox. But this is where we're going to go ahead and in today's comic book video. So please leave me a like down below and subscribe. But guys, I'll see you on the next comic book video.